Friends, General Mills monster cereals have landed on store shelves once again. They, along with pumpkin beers and the start of football, mark the end of summer and the beginning of my favorite season, autumn. Now, I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, where we don't really have an autumn. The weather only gets slightly less ridiculously hot. You still can't wear a hoodie until at least January. And since Palo Verde trees, rocks, and cacti are the main bit of landscaping features, there's no real visual indicator of the changing seasons. I grew up longing for changing leaves, a cold snap in the air, and being able to wear a hoodie or a beanie without looking like a masochist. So non-weather related indicators of fall became important and cherished each September, not least of which were the monster cereals and the heralding of the spooky season. Welcome aboard Space Castle, where our continuing mission is to search the universe for all things nerdy. I am your Captain DT. So it was the early 1970s and General Mills was preparing to launch two brand new breakfast cereals. Cereals which would be the only chocolate and strawberry flavored cereal varieties at the store, but still, General Mills wanted to launch the properties with a bang. Now, the idea of cereal box prizes had been around since the early 1900s, and cereal box mascots were already a mainstay. So the idea was to evolve the idea of cereal box characters into a multimedia experience to grab kids' attention. And it did more than just grab their attention, but more on that in just a minute. Let's get ready to take a look at one of the most successful cereal franchises of all time, one of my personal favorites, and one that has endured for decades as a beloved way to start your day, or a beloved way to watch TV at 1:30 in the morning when you can't sleep and the last thing you should be eating at that time is a lot of sugar and carbs. But whatever. I have also scored a box of the newest addition to the line, and I'm going to share my initial tasting and thoughts with you all. Let's talk about monster cereals. Laura Levine, a copywriter at the time, was tasked with creating two new mascots for brand new chocolate and strawberry cereals. She landed on Count Chocula and Frankenberry, spoofs of the famous Universal Studios monsters Dracula and Frankenstein's monster. Not satisfied with redefining cereal advertising and creating a mainstay in the childhoods of multiple generations, Levine would then go on to become a writer for such iconic sitcoms as Three's Company, Laverne and Shirley, The Jeffersons, and The Bob Newhart Show. With concepts for the mascots sorted out, it was George Carn, artist and also amateur hockey coach and referee, who would refine the concept of Count Chocula into the very first bit of artwork, solidifying the look of the iconic character. Previously, Carn was known for being the creator of the Trix Rabbit, yet another icon who helped me and my little sister replace the money in my parents' wallets with regret over feeding their young children pure goddamn sugar at the start of the day. Now, unfortunately, I haven't been able to dig up who was the first person to design Frankenberry. An episode of Space Castle with incomplete information. Shocking. If you happen to know who the first person was to design the character, please leave a comment down below. With the character designs in place, it was Jose Cuauhtemoc Melendez who first animated the original commercial to feature Count Chocula and Frankenberry. Now, Jose Melendez was more widely known by another name, and hang on, this is gonna blow your f***ing mind, so let's take a brief interlude to prepare you mentally. This dude was otherwise known as Bill Melendez. If you used to be a kid like I used to be a kid, that name is either vaguely or immediately recognizable. He was the animator, producer, and director responsible for the numerous classic and iconic Charlie Brown animated specials throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Melendez was also an animator in such vaguely memorable films as Pinocchio, Dumbo, and Bambi. To say that General Mills had assembled a powerhouse dream team of people to develop Count Chocula and Frankenberry is an absolute understatement. This was like sending Joe Montana and Jerry Rice to kick the f*** out of your neighbor's Pee Wee football team. The commercials were a huge success, featuring two theoretically scary characters who were actually silly, afraid of children and everything else themselves, and immediately became lovable mascots that kids looked for and recognized in the cereal aisle. And because they both had their own uniquely flavored products to hawk, the first commercial set the stage for a rivalry between Frankenberry and Count Chocula, which would become a mainstay of the decades-long and still continuing advertising campaigns. So you got to not only eat delicious breakfast cereal, but you got to choose a team. And if you're not Team Chocula, you can go f yourself.
Piffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
Also, piffle is a word that needs to come back into regular usage. The launch of the two cereals was wildly impactful, and kids were not only treated to masterfully animated commercials, tasty cereals to start their day, but also trips to the emergency room. Okay, so nobody choked to death on monster cereals or opened up a box of broken glass or anything like that. In 1972, a young boy in Maryland was rushed to the hospital by his mother, who was alarmed that her kid was pooping bright red and pink. Worried that the kid was bleeding internally, doctors ran several tests and took a record of what the kid had eaten in the days prior. Turns out that Frankenberry was the culprit. The cereal contained red food dyes number 2 and 3, which passed through your body undigested. The dye carried over into the kid's poop, giving it a horrifying color. Count Chocula, on the other hand, is brown. No detectable color changes to poop and no afternoons ruined for any kids. Point Team Chocula, bitches.
Didn't they ban red dye number 2 after it gave lab rats cancer?
Yeah, but, it was 1972. They're lucky there wasn't straight up lead and asbestos in the cereal. The entire ordeal was recorded in a case study by one of the attending physicians, Dr. John Payne, and you can actually find it and read it on the internet if you want to. It's mildly amusing. The words strawberry ice cream are used in graphic reference. The cereals also became very popular for their unique and inspired cereal box prizes. At one point, the cereals even contained flexi discs, which are like small, thin vinyl records that contain original tracks of music. My favorite of which happens to be one called Monster Adventures in Outer Space.
Yes, I can relate to that one.
And what exactly are you inferring?
That you're a goddamn monster in outer space.
Goldblum, out of the two of us out here, you think that I am the monster?
Of the two of us out here, which one didn't like Star Wars, Obi-Wan?
The cereals were such a huge hit with kids that additional flavors were quickly developed and released. Blueberry was introduced in 1973, but no word on any blue poops that followed. The rivalry now went 3 ways, with Frankenberry and Chocula both terrified of the new ghost, who first appeared on the scene wearing a goofy yellow hat, a red bow tie, and came chained to a box of his own cereal. A sentiment I am all too familiar with, as in every September I'm pretty much chained to a box of Blueberry myself, which is quite possibly the Dom Perignon of breakfast cereals. I am still Team Chocula, but that shit is goddamn delicious.
Do you really want to keep using the word shit in this episode?
The trio dominated cereal sales and breakfast tables for years to come, with the eventual addition of Fruit Brute in 1974, who proved that General Mills' strategy wasn't foolproof. Based on the Wolfman, Fruit Brute sported lime-flavored marshmallows, an interesting choice to say the least, and it just wasn't a hit with kids, only earning mediocre sales. The quartet was reduced back down to a threesome, and Fruit Brute vanished after only 4 years on the market. I was born the year after it was gone, so I was never actually able to try it, and I only lived vicariously through its sort of odd pop culture, kinda sorta urban legend-like status. The cereal was apparently loved by the likes of both Quentin Tarantino and Joe Dante, who have both featured Fruit Brute in passing in their films.
Wait a second, Fruit Brute?
Yeah.
Like the monster cereal Fruit Brute?
Yeah, like the monster cereal.
It wouldn't be until 2013 when General Mills would do a re-release of Fruit Brute that I'd actually get to try it, but they totally reflavored it to cherry from the original lime, so I'll never get to try that OG lime Fruit Brute. And I'll probably never see Paris either. General Mills tried to add another character and monster cereal flavor in 1988 in the form of Fruity Yummy Mummy, based on, you guessed it, the Mummy. This new cereal was given a really vague fruit-flavored designation, and yeah, it was a flop too. It only lasted like 4 years on store shelves, but it was also reworked and re-released in 2013 along with the reworked Fruit Brute with a new orange cream flavor, which apparently a lot of people liked. The 3 mainstays of the franchise, product line, Monster Cerealic Universe, were only available year-round until 2009 when General Mills made the kind of odd decision to only make them seasonally available at the start of every autumn. And this year, the year of 2023, the Monster cereals have re-arrived in stores with a brand new addition, the first addition to the Monster cereal family in 35 years. Carmella Creeper, cousin to Frankenberry, and apparently a zombie DJ, is the mascot of a brand new caramel apple cereal of the same name. And given the terrible failure of the last two attempts at Monster cereals, I was not only morbidly curious to try it, but also to be a part of Monster cereal history. So I got a box, which was weirdly hard to get a hold of, and I actually grabbed the last one off the shelf when I did find it.
When did you go back to Earth?
Shut up. I've been waiting for this very moment to try it out and share my immediate initial thoughts with you all, so here we go. Ow. Okay, here we go. It is bright freaking green with orange and purple marshmallows. This is absolutely going to turn people's poop the color of Michelangelo and Donatello from the Ninja Turtles. So off the nose, as if I'm some sort of wine connoisseur, you mostly get caramel flavor, which is interesting to me. I was expecting more apple-y, like Apple Jacks or like cinnamon apple pie crunch or something like that. So let's try it out. Here we go. That is not bad, actually. Okay, so on the grain of the cereal, you get the apple and the caramel, but you mostly get the caramel flavor, which is actually delightful and kind of surprising. And the caramel flavor actually kind of sticks with you a little bit longer afterwards, which is nice. It's very smooth and tasty. For a bright green cereal, I was expecting more of like a crisp, crunchy, apple-y flavor. It's actually more caramel. Let's see if like the marshmallows are more apple-y. Let's see. A little bit more apple flavor there, and the sugar is very much in the marshmallows versus the grain cereal itself, which is a nice balance, I think. That's something that I've always thought was a really nice balance with all the Monster cereals, is the fact that kind of the sugar and like that sort of zing is in the marshmallows, and the grain cereal itself has more of like the malty sort of like deeper flavor profile. Again, I'm talking about children's cereal like I'm some kind of sommelier or something. I can tell the grains in the cereal were grown in a small village in Italy. This is really good. I'm actually, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm not shocked, but I'm surprised. General Mills, you did all right. I don't think this is going to dethrone Blueberry or Frankenberry, and it's certainly not going to dethrone Count Chocula, which is the greatest cereal of all time, Team Chocula. But this is a worthy addition to the Monster cereal line, and I hope it doesn't get discontinued immediately in just a couple of years. Rest in peace, Fruit Root and Yummy Mummy. This is really decent. I would buy this again next year. I would eat more of it, and I would actually add it to my rotation of Monster cereals in future Halloweens and whatnot. It's just not bad at all. I don't really give number ratings, but if I had to give one, I would say like a 7.5 out of 10. Again, it's not the cream of the crop. It's not going to reach the peaks and highs of Count Chocula, but this is really decent and a really solid addition to a long-running line of cereals that I have loved almost my entire life. So, well done. Cheers. And there you have it. A new addition to a cereal franchise that's been around for 52 years. A franchise that's been a part of childhoods for longer than Star Wars and home gaming consoles. I bet you've had at least one of the Monster cereals in your lifetime, and I recommend going out and trying the new one, Carmella Creeper, and see for yourself if you like it or not. Leave a comment down below and let me know which one is your favorite and what you think of the new Carmella Creeper. In the meantime, thank you so much for hopping on Space Castle once again and hanging out with me in our continuing mission of searching the universe for all things nerdy. Special thanks goes out to the Galactonaut crew at patreon.com/spacecastleshow, and a huge, big, awesome thanks to our newest member, Brian Transfixed Nichols. Brian, thank you so much for becoming part of the crew and enjoying all kinds of perks like exclusive content and big time status on our Discord. And thanks very much to all of you for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing this video with a friend. I am gonna go eat some Count Chocula. This is your Captain DT, signing off.